The new April Fool's snapshot brought a lot of new and exciting chaos to Minecraft. I mean, just look at some of this stuff. Out of all the different votes that are featured in this snapshot, one of my favorites is this one. Grappling fishing rods. Normally, you can have some decent fun with fishing rods, such as yeeting mobs across the map, but being able to use a fishing rod as a grappling hook completely changes how things work. Now, instead of yeeting mobs across the map, you're the one that gets yeeted. Now, after about 20 minutes of just messing around with this in creative, I got a brilliant idea. Can I beat Minecraft if I couldn't walk, but only had a fishing rod to get around the world? First, I had to set up some guidelines, both to limit myself for a challenge, but also to make the challenge feasible. First, keep inventory as on, because I'm going to go splat a lot, and I don't want to collect my bits every time. Second, I had to force approve the vote for the fishing rod grappling hook, just because this challenge doesn't work without that. Third, I rebound my movement keys, just so I couldn't accidentally walk around like this, and even influence my direction in the air. Fourth, I gave myself an unbreakable fishing rod, just so I didn't get stranded in the middle of the lake and have to reset the run. Fifth, any extra votes that pop up, I'm allowed to use to my advantage or disadvantage, because why not have extra chaos? And finally, just because I struggle in normal Minecraft of finding strongholds, I will allow myself to look up where a stronghold is if I'm getting lost in a cave. Now that that's out of the way, let's get on to the splats. To start off, I decided that I should probably try to get some basic resources like wood, stone, and then just yeet myself off in random directions and just try to get something. I just decided to do some sacrifice launches just to get my bearings and see if there's anything close I could steal, like resources from a village or a temple or whatever structure there may be. Well, after a bunch of random splatting, I finally got an idea. Trust me, those are rare. Get some sheep and harvest some wool to make beds so I can set my spawn and essentially have a checkpoint. It wasn't until almost 30 minutes into the run that I finally spotted something of use. A savanna biome. Now, I'm not a fan of the grass-colored savanna biomes. It's not good for building. They do have one good thing about them. Villages can spawn in savannas. So after repeatedly launching myself in hopefully the direction of a village, I spotted something else. A ruined portal. If I could get iron, I could then get to the nether using lava. So after raiding the ruined portal and checking to see if it was going to be useful, I then went back to exploring for a village. And while taking a sheep break, I accidentally yeeted myself into the lower stratosphere, and what do you know? I caught a glimpse of something that is normally pretty ugly, but in this instance, it was beautiful. I saw terracotta and acacia, which meant a village. And after robbing the village of their beds and food, I then decided to try to find an iron golem on a hillside. However, I failed to realize one small thing. Just because I couldn't walk around, that doesn't mean the iron golem couldn't walk around. After a few klutzy attempts to position myself around the iron golem, I then realized I had picked up an egg somewhere, and I managed to use it to aggro the golem. Shortly after, I had my iron for a bucket, and then decided to go underground and get resources. I made my way back over to the ruined portal because there was a ravine nearby, and as I got over there, there was an incredibly important rule vote that popped up. Maybe the most important vote ever. No, not that one. The one after it. I was playing in single player, so the combined votes meant nothing, but check out that side effect. Infinite Resistance 5. It was at this moment I knew that the whole run had just changed drastically. No longer was I going to be splatting all over the place, I was simply going to be landing with a loud thud and yeeting myself again. I just had to wait 13 minutes for the vote to finish. So I decided that I need to go ahead and keep gathering resources and try to prepare the nether portal. I did have a misclick with the water bucket, but luckily between the lava that did survive and the obsidian I had already looted from the chest, I had enough to actually make the nether portal. I then decided to go ahead and explore the ravine for some resources because I wanted the resistance effect before entering the nether, and I still had a few minutes to wait. But after narrowly escaping the wrath of the skeleton, I got the notification I had been waiting for. I didn't realize it at the time, but this would not just be a blessing, but also a curse. Yes, I was now blurst. This blurcing wouldn't be realized until I tried to leave the cave system, and then I realized this was resistance level 5. I'm used to having resistance level 1 in my vanilla survival world. and that does a decent job at protecting you from some damage. But what I didn't realize is that level 5 gives you near immortality. This became an issue because my original strategy was to just find some lava at the end of the cave system and teleport back to the ruined portal. Turns out that no longer works. I then got out of the cave by mining straight up and placing blocks underneath me because I could still jump. Finally, just short of the hour-and-a-half mark, I finally made it into the Nether, where I was immediately greeted by a ghast. Rude. I then made the discovery that you can simply hitch a ride on ghast fireballs, which sounds like it'd be perfect for a Kaizo-type parkour level. I then began to use the same method I had used to find both the ruined portal and the village. Random yeetage. I needed to find both a bastion for gold to get ender pearls, and a nether fortress to get blaze rods. And after randomly yeeting myself around the fire-filled nether, I stumbled into a bastion, where I found the hardest thing about this run: confined spaces. Seriously, it was next to impossible to find my way around some of these spaces because I would launch myself at such high speeds that I would just pinball around the room and end up in random locations, most of the time not in the direction I was actually aiming. Somehow I found my way out of the bastion and began bartering with piglins until they decided they weren't going to accept any more gold, which left me to find the fortress and get blaze rods, and then hopefully finding more piglins to trade with later. After another session of randomly yeeting myself around the hot tub that is the nether, I ended up stumbling across another fortress, and played fire pinball with a bunch of blazes. Again, confined spaces are difficult. I kind of just played pinball with a bunch of blazes until I ended up with enough blaze rods, and figured I should probably get a few extras just in case. After another round of randomized nether yeetage, I ended up finding another bastion that may have also just been a different part of the first bastion I was at, but we'll never know. So after sliding around the bottom of the bastion to collect enough gold to actually barter, I then yeeted myself into a hole with some piglins and went for round 2 of bartering. However, I did not get dream luck on this. I had anti-dream luck, and barely ended up with enough pearls to actually finish the run. Luckily, I did get enough obsidian from this bartering to build a portal around me instead of having to find my original nether portal. Me being me though, I did almost mess up the block placing, which would have been very annoying to say the least. I then got back to the overworld and began to finalize the things I would need to finish. First, I crafted a smithing table, because I had picked up some armor trims and figured, why not at least look fashionable, right? Well, I apparently voted in a rule that made armor invisible. Good job. So I figured since this wasn't an official speedrun, and honestly wouldn't affect anything else, I would just be able to force repeal the invisible armor, because looking fabulous was more important. So then I began the final overworld part of the journey that everybody likes: throwing Eyes of Ender. This part didn't actually go too bad. It was just a little bit of a pain to try to collect some of the Eyes of Ender, and eventually found where the Ender eyes started going backwards. So I figured it was down this cave that I could see from the surface, right? Fun fact, it was not in that cave. So remember that thing I mentioned in the intro of the video? How I would actually look up where the stronghold was if I got close but couldn't find it? I decided to use a program that I had used for years, but I didn't know it was outdated. So it sent me to the wrong part of the world to find the stronghold. I yeeted myself off to the direction where it said the stronghold should be, and found no stronghold. So I decided to actually type the /locate command into the game itself, and then I found out I was only about 50 or 60 blocks away from the stronghold originally. Also, the timer that I just left in the corner to show you guys how long I spent on this challenge, I apparently hit the key that reset it, so good job me. Eventually, I did end up finding the stronghold and managed to fling myself into the portal room. And then, just like we played fire pinball with the blazes, I played lava pinball with the stronghold, and ended up having to build a platform and water bucket myself into the portal so I could actually get to the end. The dragon fight itself was not too much of an issue, as I couldn't take damage and couldn't lose my items, but it still took a while considering I could deal next to no damage. But this dragon fight was also what I call a pendulum fight. I call them pendulum fights because on one hand, I could hit absolute god shots, and then 2 seconds later, it looks like I'm a 2-year-old trying to aim a bow for the first time, and then back to hitting god shots, and then back to acting like a 2-year-old. But after quite a few minutes of struggling, to chip down the dragon's health, I finally ended the dragon fight. You truly can beat Minecraft using only a grappling rod fishing pole to move around. But to commemorate the achievement, I popped back into the inn to yeet myself into the void to get back to world spawn, because I figured the best way to leave off this challenge would be to catch a fish. And of course the game decided to send me one troll by giving me a clownfish. Perfect. Anyways, this was the first time I've done a challenge run like this before, and I enjoyed it. I decided to throw some random stats from the run up on the screen that I found interesting. If you like this content, you should check out the other stuff I've done on this channel, like the vanilla Minecraft survival world that you've seen in the background throughout the whole video. I also do modded Minecraft, where I'm doing the Vault Hunters mod pack, and also I'll do indie games and other 3D platformers when I have the time. Leave a like, and any ideas for other challenges you have for me to attempt. Until the next one, let chaos reign.